Podcast. You're with Julian Leahy, and today I'm joined by the fantastic Didi the Rainmaker Hoffman from Pretoria, South Africa. Welcome to the show, Didi.
It's awesome being here. Thank you for having me.
No worries at all. We were talking about rugby union before and the Springboks and all that stuff, but we're not going to talk about that now. What we're going to talk about is Didi's got a system for coaches called the Rainmaker system, and he's got a website called badasspreneurs.com. Tell us what you're doing.
Yes, thank you, Julian. I appreciate the opportunity. Well, let me start at the beginning. In ancient cultures, there was a rainmaker, and a rainmaker was a highly revered person. And the rainmaker had this almost magical ability to make the clouds that brought the rain, that fed the people, nourished the crops and fed the people. So if the rainmaker couldn't make rain, no crops, so the people would either have to move away, or the people would. Now in modern day business, we still have a rainmaker. And that's the person that actually has to go out. And they have this sort of uncanny ability to gather new clients, get new business, get referrals, and they do it all. And that's where the metaphor came around, because in business, Julian, doesn't matter what stage we are in, or, the size of our businesses, cash is king. And the day as coaches, you and I sign up as our own business owners, we also automatically became the rainmakers of our business. That means we are the primary persons responsible for going out and getting the clients to generate the cash to keep our businesses alive.
Yes, people often think that, oh, look, I'll hang my shingle, my sign up, and I'll build something to sell, and everyone will come flocking to me. But of course, how it works, and you've really got to make generating leads and sales probably your priority, really, don't you, Didi? And what are people doing wrong that you're finding when you speak to them?
Yes, Julian, that's a great question, because I think there are actually three myths about being a rainmaker that prevents people from being the best rainmaker. And the first one of that is that you actually are born a rainmaker, and that's not true. Even in the ancient cultures, you were never born the rainmaker. The tribe looked at you and then they selected you. So it was an appointed role, and then you actually had to go through what they called a rainmaker initiation training. And that was a baptism of fire. It wasn't easy. Now, back in 2022, the problem we make is that because we've appointed ourselves, we think that it's something that we actually can delay. And that's the second myth, is that you don't need to go through this initiation training. You have to learn this basic skill of, especially in the online world. And that's our challenge, that we're taking offline skills and we're trying to translate them into the online world. And that's not always easy. And that brings us to the third myth. A rainmaker, the objective of the rainmaker is to get your dream clients, first of all, to like you, then to trust you, and then to buy you. And one of your previous guests, I think it was Josh, he also mentioned that, that as when we sell our expertise, we have to first and foremost get people to buy us and not our services. And that's the third myth, actually, because we think that we must first get people to buy us, we are actually selling ourselves, but we're not selling ourselves. The only profession that sell themselves are sex workers and all the leg pumpers on social media. They have to sell themselves first. We don't have to. We focus on building relationships.
And can you give me an example of somebody that you've worked with and what some of the things are that you helped them set up to generate more business?
Oh, that's a great question. There are actually two examples that I can use, and they differ, because whether you're business to business or business to consumer as a coach, the whole approach is slightly different. The easiest one of the two is business to business, if you're a business to business coach, because we've got LinkedIn today. And you can go onto LinkedIn and you can actually go, and this is the steps that we follow with them. We first of all, we make sure that they know who the dream client is. Uh, a lot of coaches, Julian, don't. They've got this airy-fairy idea of who they think they're going to work with. So we make sure that they know about that. The second thing we make sure they know about is their dream outcome. And we prefer working with coaches that are already able to produce results for their clients. That's very important, because that's one of the skills of a Rainmaker, is that you're an expert in what you're doing. And that means you can get results for your clients. So once we have those two in place, the third one is we make sure that they have an offer that the prospective client will buy. Because that's another thing that coaches don't do. They've got, I'm a weight loss coach. I'm a banting coach. And that's not an offer. Nobody is going to buy that. And once we have those three things in place, start making a list. Now, in the old days, offline Rainmaker, you had a list. These are the people I'm going to chase. And that's one thing that we don't see people do. So we make a list so that they have a short list. We often call it the shopping list. And then we set up an outreach system. And it's not sending people blind messages on Facebook or on Instagram or on LinkedIn, wherever you are. It's actually reaching out to people, and you can use that. But reaching out to people first and foremost, Julian, with the intention of building a professional relationship, and not with the intention of selling my coaching. And as I've said, if I've got one client who's a registered dietitian, and she works with executives. Now, for her, it's very easy, because it's easy to target executives, high-flying executives on LinkedIn. Then I've got another client that actually works stay-at-home moms. That's a little more difficult. You can't use LinkedIn for that. You can't target them there. You can't find them there. But their Facebook is absolutely wonderful, because Facebook's got all these groups. So once you've got your idea of who you want to work with, you need to find a place where you can start locating them. And then the next step in the process is what we call a preeminent conversational device. And that's just something that you can reach out to people, and it's got no strings attached. Once you've started off building up a relationship with them, and first of all, get them to like you and trust you, then you can offer them this preeminent conversation device. And your podcast, Julian, is a great example of a preeminent conversation, because you're just giving. There's nothing that you're expecting from your guest except for pitching, being a good guest. And then from there, once you've gone through that conversation, you will know. And if you connect with people on a real Rainmaker level, they will share the innermost, worst problems with you. And what a Rainmaker then does, once you know what those problems are, you can say, okay, I can help you with that. And then you go and solve those problems. And from that's sort of the whole Rainmaker system.
Yeah. And one of the big ones, what you said, Didi, was people that just pitch off the bat straight away, like, hey, I'm doing this course, come and pay and join my course. And it's like, they don't know you, why would they buy from you? And they won't buy from you. And I see a lot of people do that wrong. And what was the thing you said, the preeminent conversation device? What was it?
It's just a different type of, let's call it, the other term for it, a lead magnet, but it's not a lead magnet. It's not something that you share with people with the intention of getting the emails to put them in a funnel and bombard them with emails. It's something like your podcast. You and I have connected, and you've offered me the platform of podcast without expecting anything from me in return. And that's a conversation device. Now, the two of us are sitting here, we're chatting, and we're discovering what our problems are. And two things are going to happen from here. We're going to like each other or not. If we like each other, we might either and another two things might happen. We might do business, or we might never do business, but I might be a referral for you. I might, be a referral partner for you. And that's the whole Rainmaker thing. Start forming business relationships. This is very important. It's not the same as romantic relationships, and you know that. The rules are slightly different, and we go openly in the. I want to start a business relationship with you, and irrespective of the outcome, we might just end up being business friends, never doing business with each other, never referring somebody to each other, but again, those people might have no people that have your problem, and that's the whole thing. Another way of running it is old-fashioned relationship marketing.
Yeah, it's wonderful, powerful stuff. And when you're doing, talking about this podcast, you've got your own podcast, and you're going on podcasts. That is content, and it's content in multiple places. It stays out there, and people see it. They will see it, and eventually, and you'll hear somebody come back and say, "I saw you on this," or "I found this blog post," and you just be amazed. And because nobody's pitching anything, and we're leading with value, and Didi's leading with value, and that's how it works. That's the best way to operate, isn't it, Didi?
Absolutely. Another very good preeminent conversational advice is authors that write a book and they interview people. So you will reach out to people and say, "Listen, I'm writing this book about X, Y, and Z. I'd like to interview you." And there's nothing you expect in return. It's the old universal law. When you want to get something, first give it to somebody else, and it will come back to you tenfold.
Hey, Didi, tell me about the Rainmaker Initiation Playground. What's that all about?
It's just, Julian, I think another mistake that we make, especially as solo coaches, we've got our own little world. And there are so many things that we do as coaches that are just plain boring. Not everything that I do in my business I like. So, and we just thought, let's bring a little bit of fun into this, because life is sometimes just too damn serious, so that we can have a little fun. So instead of having a training platform or a course platform where you have basically only a lot of courses, this is just the same. It's still courses, but we've just relabeled it, and we're having a fun playground. And instead of having a course, we're having a slide to go up and down, and it's just phrasing things in a fun way, so that when we get up in the morning, we actually have some play time to look forward and not some study time.
Cool. And and what's the way to get into the playground, the Rainmaker Initiation Playground? Is there a course that you have to buy, or is it free to get in?
There's various options, Julian. Our local audience that we're serving are finding it difficult because our exchange rate is so terrible. I think we're about 10 South African rand against the Australian dollar. We're about 20 rand against the euro. So what we've done is that we've have a sort of a pricing model where most of the stuff is actually free. And then when you need one-on-one help, in other words, you need help with implementation that you can't figure out on your own, we have, and it's very reasonably priced because we're pricing for our own target market. And then in that case, you will just hire a guide to guide you through the course.
I see. So, and you can get in there if you are a coach or, like a dietitian, solopreneurs, and you want to learn the Rainmaker method of how to actually bring clients in and attract people. It's like the law of attraction, basically, isn't it, Didi?
Absolutely. It's going out, doing good for somebody else, building a relationship, and from there, if you don't get a client, at least you get a friend.
Absolutely. And you can check out what Didi's doing over at badasspreneurs.com. Thanks for coming on, Dee Dee. I'm going to have to wrap this one up. I'm a little bit over time on everything, but we've got some good value out of Dee Dee. And if you're interested, go check out what he's doing. Thanks, Dee Dee.
Thanks for having me, Julian. Appreciate it.
No worries. Well, thanks everyone for listening and watching, and I'll see you very soon on another episode.